International Conference on Arts and Humanities.
Shila from Iran, from Islamic Azad University. Now I'm studying in art researching, but before I graduated in MA in clinical psychology and then in music, now studying in art researching in MA degree. But my interest is study in philosophy as a middle discipline between art philosophy and psychoanalysis. I want to talk about my article, that's why it is very short, because this article is part of my article. It's the first session. And in this article I compare psychoanalysis and art philosophy about art creation in the first step, and then my other article is about comparing dream process in psychoanalysis and poetry in literature. But this first session is intuition and sublimation in Plato and Freud viewpoint. Okay? Comparative study of intuition in the artist and the psychological process of sublimation in the creation of artistic work in Plato and Freud viewpoints. Various approaches in formation of artistic work has created a vast arena of highly key issues in philosophy and psychology areas. The two highly important intuition and sublimation categories are among those concerns. The main topic in this research is the parallel viewpoint and compatibility of the two categories in creating an artistic piece and a path it has adopted between the two areas of philosophy and psychology. The present research provides an analytical description. Introduction. The history of aesthetic concepts in antiquity is similar to the history of aesthetic theories. Some of them appeared early and remained throughout the antiquity. Others grew and evolved through the centuries, and numerous other concepts were also similar to modern aesthetic concepts such as fantasy, idea, intuition, etc. But even the ancient words for which have survived in the modern language. From the aspect that it allows emotion and insight to lead the artistic desired goal, art attains the quality of its work from intuition, empowering music, painting, and script writing, etc. The development of the subject is at the end submissive to some form of intuitive perception. The Greek at first created the concept of catharsis, which was a principle of Orphic doctrine, and declared that the effects of the arts include purification and joy for humans. Although the history of art and psychoanalysis are dichotomized into distinctive fields, there are many topics that are shared by those two. They both have to do with power of image and its symbolic definition, processes, and products of creation and history. Exactly similar to those works of art which, in addition to image, have to do with dreams, fantasies, daydreams, puns, and psychological symbols. Interpretation of imagery is also one of the crucial subjects in the science of psychoanalysis. In this recent article, I don't want to make a deductive part by part comparative of the stage of achieving intuition and the process of sublimation from the Platonic and Freudian point of view. I want to compare the stages of creating the work of art as a result of intuition, in Plato's opinion, in the idol's isol, and the sublimation in Freud's opinion in his psychoanalysis. Okay, a little bit I want to talk about Plato and continue about intuition. Plato, the background of the philosophical perception and the Western school of thinking about art can be searched for in Plato's thoughts. He is the first person in the Western philosophy to propose intuitive identification and call the path of right knowledge intuition. Intuition, or intuitive knowledge, which is a form of knowledge that is free of error and mistake. In his opinion of view, what is important for the artist is exhilaration and the emotion that comes from an emotional eruption distinct from his intellect. The displays that he considers, Plato, he considers for art is acacia or acacia. Acacia is a Greek name, subordinate to doxa, and has to do with icons. And about icons are the lowest level of imagination and phantasm. And the acacia, relative to surrounding objects, has mirror mode and indicates seizure of power and human understanding of his emotion. And about doxa, that is the domain of opinion, belief, or knowledge. In classic rhetoric, and that is in contrast to episteme. The episteme, the domain of certainty or true knowledge. And about ion, that my article, the best on isol, in Plato's viewpoint, the ion, an epistle that was written prior to the establishment of Plato's academy, which means the primary intellectual period of Plato. In ion, what poet writes is not based on awareness, and it is not result of required knowledge. It is rather a God-given gift, an affair which in both his and Socrates' opinion is opposed to acquired knowledge. Here poets create their poems not by technique or techne, Greek term, but by being inspired by the muses. Therefore, poets are translator for the gods, and the relation between the gods, poets, and the audience is like a magnet that attracts metal rings to itself. A little bit about muse. A person who serves as an artist inspiration, and or in the other hand, I can say muse is a personification of knowledge in Plato's viewpoint. And about mimesis, it is a representation of nature, and in Ion, Plato states that pottery is the art of divine madness or inspiration. In Plato's viewpoint, mimesis, in order to create a work of art, has two methods. The first method, in which the nature is imitated, a nature which is itself an imitation of the world idea. World idea is a very famous term in classical philosophy, especially in Socrates and Plato viewpoint. The other method is intuition, in which the artist uses the word idea by inspiration and involuntarily. imitation, the artist works with only what is in front of him, and the artist almost knows what he's doing. In contrast, in intuition or Platonic intuition, the artist lacks the awareness that is necessary to understand and describe peace, but in some sort of trance benefits from heavenly inspiration. And now continue, we're talking about Freud and sublimation. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, simultaneous with his scientific and practical activities in the field of psychoanalysis, has also paid attention to some highlights in the world of literature and art. Sublimation is a defensive mechanism and special form of displacement that prevents of occurrence instinctive actions to its original and lead them to acceptable social behavior. For example, tendency to the art and literature can be sublimation of shyness mood. And about libido, libido is very famous and very important term in psychoanalysis, especially in psychoanalysis of classical psychology of Freud. The libido is a sexual energy that sometimes is used as sexual passion or passion of life. Also, that is the origins of life. Freud considers three elements of personality for human: id, ego, and superego. About it, that is the collection of primary instincts. It follows the pleasure principle. It is internal and unconscious source, and that is collection of this harmonic instinct and inclination. And what is important for this article, we should know about it, that is the source for libido and instinctive desire for creation. And the other element is ego. Ego acts based on the principle of reality, is identified as common sense, and that is important also for this article. And my purpose is that is ego uses defensive mechanisms such as sublimation in order to balance and reduce pressure. And also ego prevail against capability, anxiety, inferiority, which as punishment unconsciously receives from superego. And the last element is superego, that is moral action part of a human, and includes ideals for which he tries. Freud determines the source of artistic creation to the sublimated form of desires and the repressed and undone drives that are present in humans. The drives have three ways of demonstrating themselves. The first, success in an instant, crude and primitive way that has no role in prosperity of mind. The other, suppressing and rejecting the desire against the principle of reality. And the third, the passage of instant desires, such as aggressive and destructive drives on the path to sublimation and perfection. Based on this process, wise activities and creation of artworks is possible. In the end, conclusion, however, the integration and convergence in the theories of these two theories in two different media led us to a single result. But in comparing the Freud's ideas with Plato's view, we can't deduce that in Freud ideas, the artist be based on suppressed desire and basic desire under sublimation. With his natural talent and his skill and technique or technique, the artist can create. But in Plato's viewpoint, the artist is based on pleasure, joy, exhilaration, glorifying the past, under intuition can create. But in Plato's viewpoint, really, we don't know how the artist, based on pleasure, joy, etc., can create. Therefore, as Socrates in his discussion with Ion could not give convincing answer to the question how poet or an artist follow rules and principles while creating artistic works when they are influenced by inspirations. On the other hand, Freud also directly stated that understanding the real essence of artistic activity and the quality of ingenuity and innate talent of creationism and the essence of artistic skill is exactly like the quality and essence of sublimation process in artist existence will remain a mystery.